What the rich teach their children. You want the shortcut? Here it is, no fluff. The rich donity teach their kids to make money. They teach them to buy time, to speak the language of money, and to design systems that pay for themselves. If that sounds abstract, hold this hook. In the next minutes, you'll see why most people work for a paycheck while a few make the paycheck work for them. And at the end, there's one detail almost no one talks about. The piece that flips the generational game. Picture two 8-year-olds. One learns to count coins, the other learns what a coin buys when you're not looking. The difference? Owner mindset. At the dinner table, the question isn't how was school, but what did you notice today that could be improved? They map problems to proposals, proposals to pilots, and pilots to profit. If you think this is just motivational noise, breathe. Next comes the lever that bends time, and no, it isn't working more. Time. The asset. Everyone sells too cheap. Most people sell time by the hour. The rich teach kids to buy time, delegate the repetitive, automate the predictable, invest in what scales. 3 guiding questions. What must be done by me? What could someone do 80% as well for 20% of my effort? What tool keeps working while I sleep? They climb a simple ladder. Checklists to cut friction, software to remove repetition, people to remove bottlenecks, and capital to remove the ceiling. Rule of thumb. If a task repeats, record it, refine it, replace yourself in it. Systems become income without a time clock. If you think this is theory, hold on. Next comes the language that turns effort into equity. Speaking money early. While many grow up fuzzy on revenue versus profit, these families teach early cash flow means if more goes out than comes in, the fire is now. Compound interest means time is the capital's accomplice or the debt's executioner. Risk versus return means uncertainty demands a premium. Kids run mini P&Ls for lemonade stands, learn opportunity cost, test price elasticity, and keep a budget with 4 buckets. Give, save, invest, spend. They separate income-producing assets from lifestyle liabilities. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Which begs the next question. If the game is value, which pieces pay the bills every month? Assets that pay the bills. The map is simple. Businesses, real estate, equity stakes, intellectual property. It's not hoarding things. It's collecting cash flows. A business should solve a recurring pain and scale beyond the founder. Real estate, focus on cap rates, vacancy risk, and tenant quality, not just curb appeal. Equity, buy claims on future cash flows with governance you understand. IP, a book, course, software, or patent, is effort frozen into something that earns even when you don't show up. Sometimes the smartest play isn't owning outright, but a rev share or convertible. If you think it's as simple as buy and wait, careful. Next is the antidote to naivete, calculated risk. Risk isn't the villain. Ignorance is they rehearse scenarios like fire drills. What if it fails, delays, or drops 30%? They keep margins of safety, real emergency funds, and sensible insurance. Golden rule, never bet survival to chase returns. They split risk into market, can't control, execution, can, and liquidity, hurts when you most need cash. Before investing, they ask, which assumptions must be true? Then try to break those assumptions themselves. When storms hit, they cut costs early, protect core customers, renegotiate terms, and live to fight the next cycle. If that feels cold, remember, no fortune lasts without people. The next piece is social capital. Network and reputation, the vault. You can't see people. Open doors money can't reach. Relationships are treated like assets, built through fair exchange, reliability, and discretion. Mentors, peers, customers, regulators, press. Every node is a multiplier. They give before they ask, share useful updates, and show up early, not just when they need something. Reputation compounds, keep small promises, gain bigger trust. When they finally ask, they present value. Warm intros, clear theses, and win-win structures. If the network holds you up, a question follows. How do you pull value without sounding needy? The answer is a skill that shifts salaries, contracts, and reputations. Negotiation. Negotiation. The art of saying no to win later. They practice what most ignore. Anchoring, silence, and a strong partner. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. They know when to pull price and when to expand scope. They read weak signals, they read the other side's urgency, fiscal deadlines, policy shifts, and use contingent concessions. We'll move here if we lock a longer term. Offers have expiration to avoid drift. Negotiation isn't a fight, it's formatting value. And when it flops, no melodrama. Error becomes data, not a sentence. Keep that in mind. Next comes the piece few associate with wealth, values, and family governance. Values before the vault. Paradoxically, more money means more internal rules, strategic frugality, spend where it accelerates, cut where it distracts, explicit purpose, why does this family exist beyond money? They write value letters to heirs, set earning thresholds before distributions, and require outside work before leadership. A family council addresses conflict, legacy, and philanthropy. They know the proverb shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations and treat governance as the vaccine. Think that's old-fashioned? Wait, narrative and privacy buy invisible influence. Privacy and narrative, the shield and the sword. While many flaunt, they curate what's visible. The public story is simple and consistent. Stability, predictability, responsibility. That lowers friction with banks, attracts long-term partners, and reduces legal noise. They separate private life from public impact, maintain operational discretion, and prepare crisis playbooks. Who speaks, what's said, what action follows. And philanthropy, not just giving, positioning. If you think that's lipstick, hold on. Giving is also how heirs learn to lead and allocate. Strategic philanthropy. A succession lab. Projects have goals, governance, and metrics. Mission doesn't cancel management. Heirs practice allocating capital, measuring impact, and reporting. They run small grants with postmortems, track cost per outcome, and consider counterfactuals. What would have happened without us? They learn to say no to good projects to fund the best ones. Vanity is checked with transparency, independent oversight, and seat rotation. Which leads to the heart of it, preparing successors. Not just paper heirs. Preparing successors. Merit with a last name. Training happens outside the bubble. Roles rotate through operations, sales, compliance, and finance. Access is inherited. Authority is earned. There are written succession plans, guardrails against blind nepotism, and clean exit triggers if fit isn't there. The family understands. Bond isn't a handcuff. If you don't perform, you shift to shareholder, and that's okay. They emphasize personal runway, skills, relationships, and savings that make each member independently viable. If that sounds harsh, remember, the goal is fruit for decades, not one flashy harvest. Before the finale, a quick 2-path case to tie it together. Mini case. 2 choices, 2 destinies. 2 sisters inherit the same amount. The first buys status, car, trips, subscriptions, and raises fixed costs. She's spending principal to fuel lifestyle. The second buys assets, a small laundry with municipal contracts, a slice of a B2B app on a revenue share, and an income real estate fund that indexes rents. Year 1, both feel rich. Year 3, the first has high bills and low income. The second has higher income, lower stress, and optionality to reinvest higher or pause. Not magic. Method. And if that feels obvious, hold your breath. The next piece is the almost hidden lever that closes the generational loop. The part. Almost. No one tells you. The real inheritance isn't the assets. It's the protocol. A set of default decisions repeated until they become reflex. How we evaluate investments, when we say no, who decides what, how we act in a crisis, how we teach the youngest. It's written, reviewed, and lived, with red lines, what we never do, green lights, what we always do, and checklists for the messy middle. There's cadence, quarterly reviews, annual retreats, and 5-year theses. The protocol protects the core and experiments at the edges. That's why while most chase a paycheck, they chase architecture. And when storms hit, it isn't the bank balance that saves them. It's the internal manual. If you think that's heavy, you'll be shocked by the impact of adopting just one principle now. Stop selling hours, start buying time with systems. Build a small engine that runs without you. A service with SOPs, a product with automation, or a micro asset with predictable yield. Then iterate. Because in the end, and here as the conclusion, what the rich teach their children that the rest ignore is that money is the consequence of the right architecture. Owner mindset, purchase time, the language of capital, and a family protocol. And unlike the myths you've heard, this isn't a secret. It's discipline. Repeated generation after generation. If you think that sounds hard, wait until you see how simple it gets. The moment you stop selling time and start buying it,